Your commentators, John McCoy and Steve Mackey.
And so welcome again to the Logan City Lanes, just to the south of Brisbane, between Brisbane and the Gold Coast, for the 1985 Coca Cola Classic. And this afternoon we have the second of the ladies' competition, and it's between Joan Lepp and Cheryl Munson. And Steve Mackey, Joan won well in her first round, but she faces a very tough task today.
Well, she did bowl well. She had all those spares, all those 9 spares. That augurs well for a good performance today. 199 is nothing to be sneezed at. Cheryl's average this year is 196, so it should be a good match all the same.
But on the score of experience, of course, Cheryl's just about done it all.
Yes, she has just about done it all, particularly this year. She's the Australian Bowler of the Year in 1985, but, well, a one-game match, anything can happen.
Cheryl Munson is from Sydney in New South Wales. She's a forklift driver of all things. She's been bowling for 12 years, and she's certainly the most experienced bowler in Australia, with the highest game score of 289. In 1984, she won the Queensland Sunshine Special, the TAA South Pacific Classic. She beat the world champion Jeanette Baker, in fact, in the final of that competition. This year, she's won the Adelaide Cup, the Gosford City Open, the New South Wales Open, the Canberra Open, and the Western Open, as well as captaining New South Wales and winning the teams event at the Interstate Championships. Cheryl, you're the 1985 Bowler of the Year, and as such, I suppose whenever you enter a tournament, you're expected to win. Does that put more pressure on you, though?
No, I don't really think so, John. Pressure, I think, is something you put on yourself. I expect myself to bowl well, but if I don't win, that's just good luck to the other person.
Well, Joan Lepp is a housewife. Her home lanes are at the Clayfield Bowl, which is on the northern side of Brisbane. She's been bowling for 12 years. Her highest game score is 278, included in her wins with the 1982 Queensland Masters. And she was the runner-up, in fact, in that tournament the following year, 1983. She's represented Queensland 3 times. She has bowled twice in the TAA South Pacific Classic, and in the first round of the Coca Cola Classic here at Logan City, she defeated El Below. Well, Joan, you had one win under your belt, but you've got a big task in this match this afternoon. What are the nerves like?
Well, I feel very, very proud to bowl against Cheryl. She's an excellent bowler, and whatever the outcome, I will thoroughly enjoy it.
And Cheryl Munson to bowl the opening frame of this game against Joan Lepp.
Yes, Joan, possibly not a surprise winner in that first game against El Below, but Cheryl Munson, the tough nut in the first. Oh dear, what a terrible opening.
Well, I think if she, the worst nightmare, had tried to plan a worse opening, she couldn't have done so.
No, the big 4 split, the double pinnacle is one of the titles for it. Well, I think she'd better go for 2 of these. Every pin will count at this stage. And that's what she's done.
Yes, she just had to play the percentages. There's nothing more she could have done.
No,
so
well,
Cheryl Munson, the tournament favourite, starting with 8 pins in the first frame. I'm sure that will give Joan Lepp some confidence, because she's obviously nervous playing against someone of the stature of Cheryl Munson. And joining us during commentary for this match, Barbara Richmond, the current Queensland champion. Well, there's a great start.
And listen to that crowd reaction for the strike by Joan Lepp in the first frame. And, of course, Queensland versus New South Wales is always an exciting time. And that was a beautiful strike. We just saw it again there. Well, can Joan Lepp put ahead on this one?
Well, Barbara, from a Queensland point of view, that was a good start.
Great start for Joan.
She'd obviously be very nervous going into this game.
Yes, I think so. But from the last match, I think she would have shaken off those nerves a little bit from last week.
Oh, she almost made it 2 in a row, just leaving the 1 pin standing, but a fine start by Joan Lepp.
So she should have little trouble in picking
up the spare in her second frame.
Yes, it's only the 6 pin we saw in the last game that she bowled, all of those 9s, and very, very accurate spare shooter is Joan Lepp, and the average of 188 indicates that. Probably only gets 3 or 4 strikes a game on average, but misses very, very little on the other end of the deck there. Shooting across lane at the 6 pin, and she's done it again. Another spare. And an early leader by 12 pins. 20 plays 8. Now it's Cheryl Munson's turn for 2 shots at the head pin. Let's see if she can come to light this time.
I would think, Barbara, from Cheryl's point of view, she probably figures that she couldn't go any worse than she did in the first frame. Things can only get better.
You're right there. I think she should just move a little to the left and try the same shot again.
And good advice from Barbara Richmond, and I think she has moved left, and in fact the ball's crossed over just a little bit. That's good thinking by Cheryl Munson, who's finding the lanes quite good up here during the qualifying tournament, but a little bit different on the TV lights.
Barbara, you've played in tournaments against Cheryl. She's a very difficult opponent to beat, obviously.
Yes, you're right, John. She's very difficult to beat. I think she's beaten me a lot more times than I've beaten her.
Oh, well, don't underestimate yourself, Barb. You've been there and done that. Oh, dearie, dear. Well, Cheryl can't believe this. She doesn't often crack a smile on the lane. She's pretty serious out there, but she just cannot believe that 16 in the second frame, the big 4 split, and then an 8 miss. And going to the bag there, calling for the doctor. And look at this. Powder, tape, all sorts of gadgets down there.
Well, who would have thought it? Cheryl Munson, the bowler of the year, and she starts with 2 open frames.
Well, she's probably put some rosin on her hand there to have a better grip, and of course the Queenslanders love this, John. 2 open frames by a New South Wales bowler. That's like manna from heaven.
It looks better. Oh, and just again leaving the 1 pin standing.
Yeah, Cheryl has such a high backswing that sometimes it worries me. The ball seems to get away from her sometimes, and she really pulls it high. But
yes, it's an interesting point that, Steve, I was going to raise with you, and we'll watch it closely. The very, very high backswing that Cheryl Munson has as she gets to her delivery stride.
And she's had it for 12 years. I remember her bowling when she was really a youngster, 18, 19 years old, and look at that, way up over her head. But she's got it that time, and getting the round of applause for a spare in the 3rd frame. But Cheryl Munson, a great performer in pressure situations. I'm sure we'll see a few strikes from her before the game's out.
Picking up the spare, and so Joan Lepp comes up to the number 14 lane to bowl her 3rd frame. It's left herself with fairly difficult split.
Yes, it is. It's the baby split. They call it that, I guess, in bowling vernacular, because you cry a lot when you miss it. It seems so damn easy, but it's very easy to miss. And the spare shot requires good accuracy, and Joan certainly possesses that. And
so at the end of the 2nd frame, Joan Lepp a lead of 22 pins over Cheryl Munson, which is quite an amazing start.
Yes, a start that dreams are made of, but she's no, she's got it. I thought she was in trouble there, but the ball bounced off the front pin and careened into the 7 pin. Let's have a look at it now. There it goes, and perfect placement for that spare.
It's like you, Steve. I thought she was going to be in a little bit of trouble to start with, but she knew exactly what she was doing and placed it perfectly.
Yes, and what a great spare shooter this girl is.
Barbara, if you were in Joan's shoes at the moment, having that 22-pin lead after just 2 frames, what would be going through your mind?
Against Cheryl, it's very hard because Cheryl has a...
Yes, Barbara was going to say that Cheryl has the capacity to get lots of strikes, and she got put off then because Joan left a split, so that sort of helped Cheryl a little bit there by opening the door, 55, and that's the result. 3 pins standing on the deck, and a virtually impossible one to go for, so that's cut the lead down already, and Cheryl's still sitting on the bench.
Well, nothing much more that Joan Lepp could do about that.
Yeah, she's going to have to shake that one off now. It's the first open frame that we've seen her have in the game and a half almost that she's bowled on the show.
Cheryl Munson, with her experience, the type of bowler that once you've got such a handy lead, you just can't give her the opportunity to get back into the game, which is exactly what Joan did
with that open frame.
Ooh! Oh, look at that!
Oh, boy. Well, I tell you, she got a break and a half then, and let's see if this pin remains standing.
Yes, it did.
And have a look at it. Let's look at it again. Always going to be 8, and then 9, and then almost a strike. And it's still rocking. Well, these heavy pins, 3 pounds 7 ounces of them, certainly rocking a lot, but not falling
At the
like
end of
the lighter ones.
At the end of the third frame, Joan Lepp, a 20-pin lead. Cheryl will pick up the spare.
A tremendous year, 5 big titles, and she's won up here in Queensland in a previous year. Beat the world champion a couple of times. 2nd in the Australian Masters. Let's see if she can get a strike. She needs one. She's pulled it high.
Looks good. And it is.
You beauty, she says.
Well, that's the strike that she so desperately needed.
And here it is again. Not a good shot, but bye-bye 10-pin. And 8 pins the difference. There's another view of it.
Well, she went so close with the last ball. She deserved the strike, but Joan Lepp fights back immediately.
Yes, that's the best way to do it. Fight fire with fire. That's another strike for Joan Lepp. The second one she's had in the game, both on lane 14, and that was a beautiful ball. Plenty of work on it.
And when the 4th frame was completed, the lead of Joan Lepp had been cut down to just 8 pins. At the end of the 2nd frame, Cheryl Munson led by 22, and leads by 8 at the end of the 4th frame. So Joan Lepp.
Oh, good ball. Yes, that
9
was
pins down at the start of the 6th.
Yes, that was a good shot. Right in the 1-2 pocket. Perhaps just a fraction high on the head pin. But a good result, and should present no problems, this spare. Both of the girls bowling with urethane-covered bowling balls.
Gets a spare. Well bowled by Joan Lepp. And Barbara, she's not letting that pressure get to her.
No, she's not. She's handling it quite well there, John.
Although there's still a long way to go, but she's done a good job. She probably was given little hope of beating Cheryl Munson, but she's certainly given the hometown supporters quite a sight.
And Cheryl Munson now can take the lead with a strike here. Oh, she's got another one.
Well bowled. Well, she took a little while to find a touch, but like the true champion she is, that touch has come back, and that was beautifully bowled.
Yes, well, a lot of bowlers would say, oh, what a lucky shot that was, but I can tell you that a ball that's got that many revolutions on it would strike like that 100 times a week. And look at it, right on the nose, but lots of work on it, and that's what spins the pins around.
I might say it was luck. I think it's probably the old story, Steve, that the harder you practice, the luckier you seem to get.
Yes, it's funny, isn't it? And Cheryl, well, she's moved way left now, as Barbara indicated she would. And that one looks a good shot.
And again.
Well, that's the best ball she's had of the last 3, and 85 now in the 5th frame. She's taken the lead by 2 pins, and she's got a double working.
3 strikes in a row by Cheryl Munson to grab her the lead.
And what great pin action that one was.
Well, her touches really come back with a vengeance. So the pressure back now on to the Queenslander, Joan Lepp.
Yes, all the crowd getting behind Joan now, and she's 100 in the 6th frame. Possible for Cheryl Munson, 115. What a difference a few strikes makes.
Certainly does. So the 3 pins standing, but shouldn't present many problems for Joan to pick up the spare.
No, she's a great spare shooter, and these 3 a cluster. The pin numbers 3, 5, and 6. She's bowling sort of to the left of them, bowling the ball into them, and she's covered it. Joan Lepp. Looks good. Oh, dear. Well, tough break. Those 2 pins, she's moved them apart just a fraction, and she, let's have a look at it. She just moved one of those pins off spot a fraction. The 4 pins moved further left. and she needs to put the ball directly in the middle of these two. There's very, very little room for error in this shot.
And Joan would know that. There's no margin for error at all. She has to be spot on the mark, straight between the two. It's wavering away. Only will pick up the one, so an open frame, and that was a pretty vital miss. It was going to be a hard spare to make.
Yes, and came at a bad time towards the end of the game with the opponent on a roll, 3 strikes out in front, and Cheryl's got a handy lead now. Let's see if she can keep on going all the way. This will be 4 if she gets it.
Just leaving the one standing, so when the 6th frame completed, Cheryl Munson had drawn away to lead by 14 pins.
Yes, and of course Jones opened that last frame that she bowled, so it'll be at least 24 pins the difference, and only 2 frames to go. Jones got to finish them out as well, so she'll be hoping to really apply the pressure with 4 strikes. But Munson's got her own problems at the moment. She's got to get rid of the 6 pin, which she has missed.
And never looked likely. I think that perhaps slipped a little as she walked back. It's certainly very hot.
Yes.
It's been a hot day in Brisbane today, and underneath the television lights, it makes it even more humid. And I think Cheryl Munson from Sydney, perhaps just feeling the effects of that, and just a little bit of sweat, that's all it needs just for that ball to go off target.
Yes, and also with such a high backswing too, it's a problem because you've got a long way further for the ball to fall off. All that momentum coming forward, but well, that's a better shot. She had good grip on that one, talking to herself, trying to gee herself up, blowing on a thumb, blowing on a hand, just like a gunslinger from the Old West, hoping that she can shoot her opponent down in flames.
And she wants to make sure that she doesn't do in the 9th frame what she did in the 8th.
No, that would be disaster. 15 pins the difference, but she needs to get this one.
That's better. No mistake that time. So Cheryl Munson takes a spare in the 9th frame.
Well, this is do or die time for Joan Lepp. She really needs to apply the whip here, get the whip out and go for broke. She needs 4 strikes in these next 4 shots, 2 frames to do it in. And here it is. Confession time.
Well, close, but not close enough.
Yeah, she looked happy about the release. It was certainly a good ball and right in the right pocket for her, but those pins flying around the back of the 6 pin, and that's the one she's got to go for. Solitary 6 pin. We've seen 3 6 pins left up in the last 3 frames. Munson left it twice and now Lepp. But Joan, of course, a much more direct bowler with virtually a straight ball, just a slight back up, and these spares don't give her as much problem as a person who turns the ball as much as Cheryl.
Joan Lepp taking the spare in the 9th frame, so she'll now move over to lane 13 to bowl her 10th frame.
The loser of this game gets $200, but the winner goes on to meet Gail Picken of the Gold Coast in the next women's match, which is the semi-final. So an important time now for Lepp. She needs a turkey. She can bowl 177 with a turkey. Well, she's into the 160s now. So Munson looking sweeter all the time. Just needs to stay clean in the 10th frame, and I think that she'll go on to bowl Picken in the semis. And that ball just a little bit too high to give her absolution.
Joan Lepp to complete the 10th frame. Gets the spare.
Yeah, she needed that one. That would have really given the game away to Cheryl if she'd opened the 10th, but she's got a bonus ball now to throw, and that's the reason for the bonus ball, that spare in the 10th frame. 165. little below her 199 game against Elvalo a couple of matches ago, but still no disgrace against a bowler of Cheryl's calibre. The very name of Cheryl Munson and Ruth Gerster, Jeanette Baker, Barbara Richmond puts fear into the heart of many bowlers. That finishes her with a game of 162.
Here's a 162 finish. Probably a little disappointing for Joan. After it's not so much her good start, but the shaky start of Cheryl Munson, which gave her such a great chance early on to win. But of course, it's no disgrace to be defeated by a great bowler such as Cheryl Munson. As that shows.
Yes, she's going to bowl a game now in the 180, 190 odd range, 196 average for the year. That's one of the reasons for the 196 average. She gets a lot of strikes. Probably 5 or 6 strikes a game does Cheryl Munson bowl, and there's another view of it, a Brooklyn strike. See if she can get another one. She's got to just lower that backswing a bit, I believe. That's a better ball. She's really pleased with that one. That's the best ball she's had in the match so far. That's the way we like to see the 10-pin go. The 6-pin kicks it out of the gutter. And Cheryl blowing away the dust, hoping for another strike. A 192 if she can get it, and a win by about 30 pins, if that's the case.
Leaves 2 standing, so she finishes with 190. Cheryl Munson winning by 28 pins. So quite a remarkable game. After trailing by 22 pins after the second frame, Cheryl Munson fights back to win by 28 pins over Joan Lepp of Queensland. $1 for finishing in 4th place, and congratulations, well done.
Thank you very much.
And Cheryl, a slow start. What happened?
I'm having a little bit of problem with my ball. It's so hot up here. My hand is swollen, and I can't get my thumb out properly, so I tried a bit of talcum powder on it, and then I lost it a couple of times, so hopefully I'll get it down to size that it normally should be.
Well, you finished on the right foot, and we look forward to a great game in the semi-final against Gail Picken.
I sure hope so.